Okay, so hello, Helen. Thank you for joining me today on this chat. My name is Sarah Estelle, for those of you who haven't met me before, and I'm the founder of Essentially Flowers Training. I'm joined today by Helen Elizabeth Griffiths, who is a graduate of the Flower and Vibrational Essences Diploma that I have the privilege to facilitate. So thank you for coming on, Helen, and just, helping me share my love of flower essences and how they can help everybody change their world from the inside out.
Thank you, Sarah. It's so nice to be here. I know we just share such a love of flower essences. It's just such a privilege to be able to come on and talk about it.
It is, yeah. So why don't you tell everybody about yourself?
Okay, my name is Helen Elizabeth, and I'm an educationalist and an expert in women's health. And I'm also a flower and vibrational essences practitioner. I'm a priestess. And I'm an oracle, and my work is around helping women to awaken their own divine feminine blueprints.
Wow. So what does that look like? I mean, rather than you answer that question, I think we're going to answer it as we go through your own sharing.
Yeah.
How do we awaken our own divine blueprints? And essences are a big part of that, aren't they?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think forming that connection with nature in the way that essences allow us to awakens some very deep coding within our energetic bodies and our energetic systems, which allow us to awaken those codes and those divine blueprints that we actually came here to be. So for me, flower essences they're a catalyst to our own missions and the reasons that we're actually here.
They are indeed. And lovely to hear your words about how they work, because I think that's something that all of us who've taken flower essences for a long time, we're all kind of like going, well, we don't actually know how this works. So the more of us voice how it works for us is just like really helpful for the collective.
Yeah. So for me, they work obviously first on that energetic and emotional body, but in doing that, they actually catalyzed very specific changes on a cellular level. So although we often obviously don't talk about them acting physically, that, as we know from neuroscience, actually when you change the brain and you change the emotion, the body changes too.
Beautiful, yeah. So you joined the Diploma in Flower Essences in 2017, September 2017, and you had taken flower essences beforehand. So obviously lots of things had changed in you because you'd taken them, thank goodness. So, but before 2017, before you committed to the 2-year journey with us and took them in a committed way, with lots of support around you, what was being you like?
I was tired. I was tired. I was a massive overfunctioner who lived, due to my previous experiences, completely in my masculine energy. I was somebody who felt like they had to fix and they had to do in order to even feel safe and to be able to function in the world. So although I'd taken flower essences for a long time, I'd taken them as a child. My mother had actually given me the batch flower essences, which was such a great start in life. And I believe that really set me on a path to working with flower essences in this lifetime. I was actually still working from an energy system which was about having to fix and to control my world. So I had got to a place where I was, I'd been diagnosed with chronic fatigue, actually, and I was also struggling with depression and anxiety. So being me was quite a challenging place, just even 3 years ago.
Yeah, it was indeed. Yeah, I hear that. And now that feels different to you?
Yeah, completely different, totally different. So now, having done the work on a number of levels during the diploma and in the year since almost a year since I finished it, my energy system is a completely different place to be. So I'm now very much functioning from what I would call a feminine forward perspective, So I'm working and I'm living in my feminine, which is where I feel comfortable in my body now. And that has, I won't say completely because we're all human, but it almost completely removed much of my anxiety. It's still something that I work with, but I now consider it to be a teacher. And a teacher of anxiety is a great teacher of surrender. And surrender is one of the things that I work with very much with other women as well. So now, rather than being crippled by my anxiety, I see it as one of my greatest teachers.
Yeah, how lovely when we befriend what we have perceived to have been our foes, you know, our enemies, don't like you to use that word, but the thing that we struggled with, we fought with, and instead of fighting, we dance.
It's so true. If we can find a way to look at those things with some courage, and I think in order to do that, we need to find a sense of safety within ourselves, which is one of the things I think that flower essences can do for us. They can help us actually to start to feel safe in our bodies. And then when we're able to do that, we're able to look at where those pain points in our lives are, because where there's a pain point, for me, there is a gift, and there's the potential for extraordinary growth from that place.
Yeah, particularly when it's something that recurs.
Yeah.
Recurs. And recurs. I know
recurs.
that. Yeah. So what needed to shift inside of you in order for this energy release to take place, that you'd, and I'm going to use the word tried because I think it's probably true, that you tried so many ways and so many amazing ways, and I'm sure you've done a lot of the work beforehand, but just something, as you took flower essences in this committed way, shifted. What needed to shift?
When I think about what that point was in the diploma, it was a place on module 5, and it was green bells of Ireland, the essence that we take in module 5. And what that essence did for me was to bring me to a complete and grounding halt. And I remember lying in bed one day and thinking, I know that there's all these things that I need to do that are in my diary, and I've got an essay to write, and I've, all of these things I needed to do. And actually, none of it is in any kind of divine timing. I'm just processing it in my head. And I was given this incredibly profound sense of what it would be like to live from my body rather than from my head. And to find the divine timing rather than head timing. And there was this moment of surrender where I just said, okay, this feels like the biggest, scariest thing I've ever done in my life, but okay, I'll stop. And I did. I just stopped. And that stopping was one of the most scary, but also one of the most powerful things I've ever done. And that catalyzed a change in my system where I started to live in time and in tune with myself and with nature, rather than with my head and the way that I thought the world should work.
Wow. So what I'm hearing is that you did something that maybe you'd done before, which is you'd stopped and you rested, but you did it with a different coding.
Yeah, I did. And it was actually manifesting with the moon as well, I think, which really allowed me to do that. And it was starting to live within the moon cycles. And I'd worked a lot with the moon before, but I hadn't worked with them in the way that we do in manifesting with the moon, where we work with the astrological cycles as well. And there was something about working specifically with those astrological cycles that woke some kind of coding in me. And that was a coding for natural rhythms and cycles, which allowed me to not only stop, but actually to relax and feel safe in the stopping.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I completely get that when we start to be aware of a different cycle, and a different cycle that's always changing, not just from the seasons and the size of the moon, but by the different constellations that are present.
Yeah.
Our body receives the codings because we're paying attention.
Yeah, it's like suddenly we're able to receive the oldest and most ancient wisdom that we weren't able to hear before.
Yeah, beautiful. So it is an awakening, isn't it? It's a very much an
It is.
awakening. Yeah, so how beautiful. And I know that we know each other pretty well, but I've never actually heard these words from you before. So I think it's really lovely to be able to draw this together to help others. So since all of this has happened, what have you received into your life? How is your life now more open to being different? What are you
Oh.
getting in life now that you weren't before?
Love, actually. Love has been a huge, huge part of it. Learning to, because I was so tired, everything that I everything that I gave felt difficult, like a big effort. And I knew that I had so much that I wanted to give and that I wanted to share, but I was just too tired. And now I feel like what I give is actually a blessing. So I'm able to live from a place of what I'm starting to realize is actually unconditional love, um, which is beyond any kind of material abundance. Although that is, that is happening too, in, through my business and through the clients that I work with and the work that I do. I'm able to just feel so much more nourished on a soul level through giving, actually, and that giving becomes the receiving.
Absolutely. Yeah, beautiful. I love that you're doing all of this now and really, surrendering to your path forwards. Yeah, so if you were to find somewhere, I know it's maybe a big question, during your 2 years in the diploma, what was your favourite part? If you could find one part that you really loved, that really helped hold you as you went through this, what would that be?
Can it be a moment? There was a Okay. So module 6, I remember this very clearly. Module 6, which is where we take an essence called chrysocolla, and it was the first crystal essence that I'd ever taken. I'd only really ever taken flower essences before, and I hadn't realized how important for my energy system taking gem essences was. And I was taking chrysocolla, and I was also taking, which is just one of my favorite essences now. I give it to everybody. Blue green tourmaline, one of the Alaskan essences. And it was May. It was probably, in fact, it was in this moon. It was in the new moon seated in Taurus. So it was probably 2 years ago, this moon cycle. And I was sitting in the garden, and it was the most extraordinarily beautiful day. And the sun was warm on me. And I was looking at the irises, which are flowering in my garden. And I had this moment where my heart chakra opened for the first time in my life. And it was the most profound, softening, surrendering experience. And suddenly my entire energy system was different. It was one of those moments that it's really difficult to put into words. And I realized that I had kind of knew it, but I realized to the extent that I'd been living my entire life with a blocked heart chakra. And module 6 and the essences that I took in module 6 just gave me this experience of my heart opening for the first time. And since that point, that sensation of having an open heart and actually meditating with an open heart and with that sense of surrender has become absolutely my daily spiritual practice. It's, I sit with my heart for probably 15 to 20 minutes every day, just practicing that sensation of having an open heart. And it changed absolutely everything for me. It was one of those moments that was just completely pivotal in my life.
Yeah, how lovely. Yeah, really, really lovely. Yeah, and that's one of the lovely things about the diploma is that we guide you through a specific journey, and there are certain things that we ask you to do, but the vast majority of it is woven by you.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And
change
it was as you say, it's such a, I would go as far as to say channeled journey, that you channeled a journey which leads us so beautifully, just step by step, into, for those of us that have never done it before, having that courage to really open and live from that heart space. And then to deal with is the wrong word, but learn to live from that heart space for me. So the first half of the diploma was very much about getting me there, working up through the chakras, through my root chakra, and, finding a place of safety where it was okay for my heart to open. And then the second half of the diploma was very much about learning to live from that space, because it was so different. I had no frame of reference of how to live with an open heart. So the second half of the diploma taught me how to do that. It's a journey I'm still learning, but yeah.
Of course, we all are, and I think that's the place of being humble, isn't it? Which is so much part of it, is that we are still all learning. Yeah. So what I'm hearing here as well is that, that your experience that you shared there, which is so beautiful, it's not just about going and taking blue green tourmaline, although by all means anybody listening, go take it, but it's not the essence. Well, it was the essence that facilitated it, but it was the whole journey that you'd taken. That you were guided to your own steps.
Yeah. It did the final bit. It did the final little.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Helen. It's been lovely. I mean, I know so much of your journey, but I've just been really blessed by hearing it today in different words. If you had any words of wisdom for anybody who was considering coming on board and taking this transformational journey with us, what would they be?
Oh, do it. That you will know if this is a journey for you and a journey that your heart's calling you to do. Just do it, because the road will. When I first joined the diploma, I didn't really know how I was going to fit it in, or how I was going to pay for it, but I just took that leap of faith. And it unfolded, because it was so clearly the work that I needed to be doing at that time. So just if your heart is calling you to do it, just do it. And don't imagine that this is a journey to becoming a flower and vibrational essences practitioner, although it is. It's potentially the most profound spiritual journey that you'll ever take.
It's true. It's true. Ooh, so thank you for sharing that, and I wish you so many blessings on your path ahead. It sounds as if you're well on your way. If anybody would like to come and find you, where would they come to find you?
They can find me on Facebook, Helen Elizabeth Griffiths, or they can find my business page, which is Alchemical Botanical, or I have a website as well, which is alchemicalbotanical.com.
Beautiful. And that all birthed as a result of the diploma, didn't it?
It did. I have an essence range, which is very much focused upon working with inner child woundings, and also awakening of the divine feminine, and helping women to learn their own and to take their own journeys of surrender and heart medicine.
That's so often what happens, isn't it? Well, it's always what happens when we run divine businesses, that we don't then go on to teach what it is we've learned ourselves. Thank you so much, Helen. It's been so lovely.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sarah.